If Daniel Levy and Aurelio De Laurentiis sat down together in a bar, it would be interesting to see who would get the initial round of drinks in. Perhaps the pair would sit down and stubbornly wait for the other to make the first move. The deadlock might only be broken by someone ordering free tap water, with the other stoically looking on and refusing to budge. That sounds like an awful night out and, thankfully, Levy and De Laurentiis are not in the same social circles. Levy is a part owner of Tottenham, De Laurentiis is the Napoli owner, and their similarities probably end with their knack to drive hard bargains. Both Levy and De Laurentiis are infamously tricky negotiators in football and, unfortunately for Manchester United, they will ultimately have the last say on the futures of Harry Kane and Victor Osimhen. It's no secret that Erik ten Hag wants a striker, and he's been described as obsessed with the prospect of signing Kane, while it's understood Osimhen, who scored 31 goals this season, is another high on the shortlist at Old Trafford. Marcus Rashford was responsible for 27% of the team's goals this season, and Anthony Martial, Jadon Sancho and Wout Weghorst scored just 26 goals between them. With the exception of Erling Haaland, Kane and Osimhen were the deadliest strikers in Europe this season, and it's no surprise they're being considered by United, but a deal for either player is expected to be difficult to complete. Although Kane is heading into the final year of his deal and it would be logical to cash in now, Levy would rather risk him leaving on a free transfer in 2024 than sanction a departure for his golden goose to a Premier League rival. Levy is notorious for dragging out negotiations, and he won't entertain the thought of Kane leaving. The extent of his stubbornness was recently highlighted by a source half-jokingly saying United would have to kill him to sign the striker. The Tottenham chairman gives the impression of a pound-shop James Bond villain, but nobody would watch a film with him starring in it. Kane would be the dream signing, and he feels like a perfect fit for United, but the club are reluctant to play games and a line will be drawn in the sand sooner rather than later, suggesting Levy could win again. If Kane, who is yet to win a trophy at 29 years old, has an ounce of ambition, he will privately demand a move away this summer and increase the heat on Levy in negotiations. Real Madrid might eventually be the compromise. The transfer window has only been open for a week and Kane feels increasingly unattainable. It's understood United are already operating under the assumption he won't be sold, and perhaps momentum could build behind Osimhen. There are obviously other strikers actively being considered, like Rasmus Højlund, who has spoken with Ten Hag on multiple video calls, but the Atalanta forward is 20 years old and he might not yet be polished enough to start consistently for United. Osimhen is objectively the next best option after Kane. The Nigerian was talismanic for Napoli this season as he fired them to their first Serie A title for over 3 decades, and his performances in the Champions League were impressive. Liverpool could not deal with Osimhen in November, and Virgil van Dijk will be desperate not to re-oppose him in the Premier League. Van Dijk was legless when facing Napoli, and it proved Osimhen could fare well against English sides. There is always an element of risk when paying a large transfer fee for a player taking their first steps into the Premier League, and it's thought Osimhen would cost around £100 million, but he's got the attributes to hit the ground running. De Laurentiis is the obvious stumbling block to overcome, just like Levy at Tottenham. The Italian is equally difficult, and he began to play games at a press conference on Monday night when suggesting Osimhen's contract could be extended. "I spoke to him, Osimhen, a few days before the Scudetto party. When I took him on, I wasn't wrong. He's a footballer who is tied to this city. He's given a lot as a man. Osimhen must stay. I've already said it on several occasions," he said. "Then if an offer arrives that would be good for Napoli, at that point, we will evaluate. There is maximum transparency between us. There is already an agreement for a further 2-year extension with Napoli. There has been no official confirmation of De Laurentiis' claim of Osimhen extending his contract to 2027, and it seems a reference to a verbal agreement with the player. However, De Laurentiis' assertion that bids for Osimhen will be considered as reason enough for United to be optimistic and should be viewed as an invitation to table a bid.